Of GrokTALK, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site.
Hey, we're having problems with the audio this morning. Wait, let's play something else. That's too loud. See, everything's different. All the files are different.
That
Weird.
sounds good.
That sounds fine now.
Yeah,
but
that sounds good.
But
I'm okay with that.
Every different file is got some kind of different impact on the output through the board, so it's definitely not set up for the remote. We're going to have to work on that.
Yeah.
So a little audio hijinks, a little craziness, but we're here.
That's all right. We are here. This is GrokTALK.
We're here doing our thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can talk about all kinds of stuff. I was gone last week. Thanks to everybody for filling in and sending me the audio so I could paste in all that good music and stuff after the fact. Turned out okay.
Yeah. And thanks for bringing back the swag.
Yes.
That was nice.
Mike, if you're listening, there is a townhall.com travel mug waiting for you from CPAC.
Yeah.
So we'll get that for you. Okay, it was weird because I didn't have a lot of time to plan, so I wasn't really set up to go see specific things or do things or to be there at night for events in particular, because just the way our transport was, because we were on a bus and it had certain times to pick up and drop off, and I didn't want to pay for a cab to get back to the hotel because I didn't bring that kind of cash with me. So I was kind of at the mercy of the bus schedule to get back and forth to the hotel. So I couldn't really do as many things as I wanted to, but I just walked around a lot, saw some people, listened to a lot of speeches. I mean, that's really the best part there. You listen to these national people come up and do things. There was a couple of panels that were pretty good. I think if you really wanted to go, you'd want to go for all 3 days, 4 days, whatever it is, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And, figure out who you were going to meet there, who you were going to network with, get everybody's schedules in advance, and then really just kind of plan out your day. Because you could sit and listen to speeches and panels all day if you want. You could just walk around and talk to folks. You can go up to tables. You can go down into the hub, and that's where everybody has all their stuff and their books and their groups and everything, and you can hang out down there. Lunch was included each day with your CPAC pass, so I mean, you don't have to bring any food with you or anything. Just have a bottle of water or something, and they have water everywhere you can drink. But I ran into Ellen Kolb, and I ran into Joe. I can't remember Joe's last name. Joe A.G.
Barton?
Joe Barton. Ran into Joe Barton there. I ran into Mike Biendo there.
That would have been a given.
And those were people that I didn't know. But, I mean, it was just circumstance that I happened to be some...
He doesn't know these people, but he does know their names.
Yes, no, people that I didn't go with. And so it was interesting because I knew there was a lot more people there. Yeah. And, it's a big hotel, and there's a lot of places to be. It's not that big, No,
but how many thousands of people are there? I heard estimate up to 10,000 people showed.
I think 10,000 people registered to go. So there was obviously not 10,000 people there every day because some people came for a day. Sure. Some people were there for 2 days. Some people were there I was there for 2. I had access for 2 days. And Eleanor Kolb was there for 1. So I only talked to her for a couple minutes because she had a ton of things to fit into that one day, So everybody's there. And then some people were there, just show up and they just hang out, I met my editor at the Franklin Center at watchdog.org. I managed to get in touch with him. And another editor that works there with him. And, tons of people there.
I've lost my mouse ball.
You lost your mouse ball. You have another mouse ball? See?
My mouse ball.
Okay. Skip's found his ball. What are you doing over there?
I'm setting up another laptop.
Oh, God.
Why?
Okay.
Because now I can get my emails that I didn't get all day last night. Because... I was getting some tinnitus in my ear, so this gets noisy, and I also went to my orientation session for a Londonderry fishing game. So I actually have my badge and my key and my patch, and now I'm legal. I'm sorry.
Do you have your Viking hat?
My what?
Viking hat.
Hey, I didn't even remember my Grok hat this morning. Give me a break. I went to bed at 10. Woke up at midnight, couldn't get back to sleep, so I went downstairs, watched TV. Mika, laid her head in my lap, and we watched TV together till about 3 o'clock. Then I got up at 5 because I had to stop at CNHT to pick up all this stuff. I did pretty well, only just forgetting my hat.
There you go.
But I'll turn cranky later.
No, good. Let us know when that is so we can leave.
Well, and the withdrawal from the do. Have you completely, you think?
In fact,
Is she moving that meter? Talk.
yeah, I'm
Susan.
talking. Yeah,
No,
talk.
I don't hear
She's
you.
a little low. There you go. Turn her back up. See, people can't hear her.
Okay.
Hello.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Actually, I have kicked the Mountain Dew habit, cold turkey, and yesterday I had 5 of those 12-can fridge packs, and my eldest son carried them away.
Really? Good
Yeah.
man. Good job, Skip.
Yeah, so now I found those.
Although you could have cleaned carburetors with them.
Yeah, I think that's what was cleaning my stomach lately. After literally decades of drinking Mountain Dew, I think that seems to have cured, except for one time, and that may have been I just ate too much too fast.
Well, you're going to have a blood sugar withdrawal thing, too, because not like you were
Well,
drinking
well-
Diet Mountain Dew.
No, well, at home, all Diet Mountain Dew.
Ah.
The only time I did the regular was when I was out or at the show. That was it.
So you're going to have aspartame withdrawal.
There you go.
Well, actually, I just get the little flavor thingies like Mio or other stuff like 4Cs.
Rubs the packets into his arm.
And take a couple squirts in that. It's a concentrate. So I can do just plain water for just so long.
All right,
I
so
need flavor.
hey, it's a week of New Hampshire stuff. I didn't have to plan any guests, so I didn't really have anything, set up to talk about today. But we've always got things going on in the state politically. Of course, we had the suntanning bed vote, which was goofy.
Well, don't forget about the bill that would have required, and this was our good friend Senator David Pierce, who wanted job applications to be mandated to list the types of birth control that their plan offered. So stupid women who applied for jobs could be assured that if they went out and engaged in unprotected promiscuous sex, would be able to, if they wanted, choose contraceptive paid for by their employer. And that bill went down in defeat. But I find it perplexing that Senator Pierce would demand that they have this sort of knowledge, but does not want women to have the right to defend themselves against anything other than pregnancy by opposing our gun bills.
Well, I was going to say, doesn't this violate some kind of race, creed, color, sexual orientation thing? Because what if you don't use birth control? What if you don't have sex? That sounds sexist to me, or
Well,
sexist.
it certainly could
Well,
be.
see, I'm not surprised at all that they would do this.
Well, not surprised, but still, isn't it kind of,
No, because that's how progressives are. They do believe that we are all too stupid to run our own lives without their enlightened touch. That is exactly it. And we are welcomed by Jane Cormier. Jane, put on a headset.
Hey, Jane.
Join the conversation. We're having fun here.
Are you having fun?
We were just talking about Senator Pierce's birth control listing on job applications, and I know that that you find that
You know what
as
the bill number was
acceptable
for
as
that?
I do. No, but I'm sure it's.
I'm going to go look it up because this is a serious nanny of the month
Well,
thing. I'm going to send this to some people.
It's not a Senate bill with an FN attached to it. It's a
Right.
Senate bill with a BS attached after it. So whichever one of those has BS.
All right.
after
Well,
it,
let's see.
that
Most
should
of
be
I'm
it.
sure most of Senator Pierce's bills have a BS
Yes.
at the end.
Many
and,
of them do.
I
But
think so.
how distressing!
Yeah.
How distressing.
Advanced bill search.
So you can defend yourself against unintended pregnancies, but not against bad guys.
No, this was just an attempt to buttress Obamacare here in the state. Let's get real. That was the politics behind it, other than the ideology of we must control you because you're too stupid.
Right.
Well, I want to know why it is that all of these men think that they should be getting in women's stuff anyway. Why are women not demanding these sorts of things? Why isn't Senator Stiles or Senator Kelly or Senator Martha's Motel Fuller Clark, although she probably would demand these things if she could remember it, but why are women not doing this? Why is it that all of these, and I'm sitting in criminal justice listening to them talk about House Bill 582, And
Which
we've
is?
gotten that was the Senate twin of constitutional carry, but Representative Leon Rideout's bill on fetal homicide, right? And his bill would have made it a criminal actionable act that if a child were died as a result of whether it was the guy crossed 89 trying to commit suicide or whatnot. So he was trying to say that a viable child, which I think is a stupid term anyway, died as a result of any sort of criminal action, that child could be a plaintiff.
It counts as a human being.
Well, there was this moron, Democrat male rep on the other side of the room. I can't think of his name. I can see him clearly. He's dating. He says, "Now wait a minute. This could deleteriously impact Roe v. Wade." Like going, what?
Yeah.
What?
Because
what do you mean? Well, then it bestows, life on this child, and the whole issue of blood. What? Shut up.
No kidding.
Shut up.
And he doesn't talk.
Mister, have you got a uterus?
Well, see, I don't.
Show me your uterus, old man.
I'm not sure I want to go in with that line of reasoning that only women can talk about these things because they have a uterus and the other half of the population doesn't. That's something that the Democrats use as an argument to separate us.
But the
The political
sanctimonious
the sanctimonious part.
crap.
Hypocrisy.
It's the hypocrisy that matters, not the...
Yeah. By the way, folks, because the other show is using a loudspeaker system rather loudly,
Why
try
don't
to.
we pull these doors? We can
We're
close them.
going to do that in just a minute, but we also want to keep microphones close to the mouth for right now. And while you guys discuss, I'll go close the doors.
Well, I just
No,
found
close
it
at least
so-
one of them, because we want people to just close
So
that
interesting. But you got to slip away from the exposition next door, huh?
Yes.
Hey, I was just noticing David Pierce also sponsored a bill relative to the relative to tax relief information contained on a property tax bill. If he's adding information to things, why isn't he adding, information about contraception to your
Has to
property
be
tax
the
bill?
right information.
How do we know that it isn't?
Oh, that's true. That's true. The bill was SB 42, by the way, relative to employee notification of contraceptive cover.
And it was followed with a BS, right?
I don't see that here, but SB is BS if you just turn it around.
You're right. You're right.
Wow, there it is. That's a good point.
Isn't that nice? And they're glass, so we don't feel like we are confined,
Right. And there's lots of
voluntarily or otherwise.
them. So let's see here. Let's make sure we save
So
this
big crowd
bill.
next door?
Yes, they had about 400 people just waiting to get in.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this and you have a table for the
New Hampshire Right to Life.
excellent.
Yeah.
Is that a friendly crowd over there?
You know what? I think that
Can they afford to be friendly?
hard for me to say because they haven't really opened the doors yet. But I do know that even in the beginning, it's kind of interesting that you bring that up because there is something on the table, and it's something to think about. I don't think it's right or wrong. That has the little models of pregnancy. How big the pregnancy is.
Your table does.
This table, New Hampshire Right to Life.
Yeah.
And they've used this little, I don't know what it is, like a prop to show about pregnancy
yeah.
for years and years. And I don't know that I'm thinking that maybe we don't need that on the table. But because we've used it a lot, and that's what we have when we do these exhibits. My fear is that when people see that exhibit, I'm noticing that when they walk by the table, they see it, and they kind of
Walk away?
And I found that interesting. This whole thing of being with New Hampshire Right to Life has been a huge learning curve. I mean, I can't tell you how much I've learned just in a few months, not just about the issue, but about how people respond to the issue.
Viscerally.
It is. It's so visceral. And certainly we don't want to intimidate anybody from coming to the table. Mm-hmm. So I think when I go back, I think I'm going to do something with that. Because I would much rather engage the human being in front of me.
Sure.
And talk to them, looking at them in the eye and trying to give an upbeat message of what life is, than to worry that they're going to maybe drift a little bit because they're a little nervous with the display. Isn't that
that
interesting?
shameful?
I don't know if it's shameful. You know what, Susan? I think years ago, I've always been pro-life, and I was pro-life in a crowd that you said that you were pro-life and you lost gigs. Okay, that's how pro-choice the opera world was.
Yeah.
And I think certainly musical theater as well, because your next gig, you got pregnant, you lost that next gig, and once you're off the track, of when you're getting gigs as a singer, you might never get back on the track again. So there's a lot of pressure on women. And I always stood up for life. But I'll tell you what, even I think back then, had I seen that, I don't know that it would have welcomed me to come in and talk. So I don't know if I'm thinking, and again, it's a learning curve. I don't know if what my perception is correct. I guess I'll figure it out as I go along. But I would much rather engage people with a smile and say, hey, would you like some information? Because really, we're making inroads. People don't know this. This is great.
Oh, this is great. I agree, because somebody had put something up on Facebook about those social issues, conservatives.
Yeah.
But abortion is one of those issues.
It
and
is.
Abortion has been making leaps and bounds of gains with young people, all kinds of people who are coming to terms with the idea. And
You mean the idea of pro-life?
the idea of life.
You're right.
Because, it drives me crazy. I'm like, how do you make life except at conception? When
Right.
else would you start life? Exactly. What can you do besides take sperm and an egg
Right.
and stick them together, make
Right.
life?
That's-
Whether
that's
it's in a
right.
tube or a jar or a lab
Stephen,
or a womb.
you-
And there's no other way to do it. Does life start at 20 weeks? Does life start at 2100 weeks? That's such an arbitrary notion.
There is the slippery slope, yeah.
You can't create life without conception. It just doesn't happen.
Right. But see, the left has controlled the message since 73.
Okay.
They really have. They've controlled the words. They've controlled the content. But we're figuring it out. And the youth, when I see these students for life groups, they're huge. These are young kids in their early 20s, and they are staunch supporters. Nobody in the left wants to talk about the fact that the reason that our taxpayers are paying more money in just about every state, just about, not all, for Planned Parenthood is not anything else but that they're having reduced numbers of abortions in these clinics. And because they're not having enough income flow into these progressive abortion clinics, they're upping what the taxpayer is giving these clinics.
So they're making up the difference.
That's right. They're making up the difference. It's not because more people are getting abortions, and that's a statistic that has proven itself.
Well, that's
again
a good
and again
argument
and
for liberty for him, anyway.
It is all liberty. The irony is while some in our own party would seek to escape the social issues, right? Don't talk about them because they're not important. Can you tell me what liberty do you have once we've taken the life? What rights do you have once we take your life?
Well, it's taken me a while to get to, because I won't say I was always pro-life. I didn't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I came out of that first generation. I got out of college the year that Roe v. Wade was decided,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Huge.
Yeah, and I had gone through college as a liberated woman,
Sure.
right? But knew enough that, gee whiz, I knew that typically what happened when you had sex, you had a very good chance of getting pregnant.
Right.
And in those days, it was treated as irresponsible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, that being said, the older I got, the more familiar I became with, or the more comfortable and a staunch supporter of life. But I'm thinking, well, the bad guys, we got to have a death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a stage in my life now to where if I am pro-life, how can I be pro-death penalty?
You can't.
I can't be.
You can't.
I
You're right.
can't be. And I'm going, gee,
Yeah, no.
wow. So some guy goes and commits a horrible crime, like crosses that median and kills that family and
Mm-hmm.
that baby. And instead of me being able to break his neck and make him
Pay.
lose
Right.
his life,
Yeah.
I got to pick up the tab for him being in prison the
Yeah,
rest of his
you
life.
do. You do.
And I'm thinking, wait a minute. It's not for me to decide in the next life he's going to pay for it.
Absolutely.
But if you do not believe, and we've had this discussion, Jane,
Mm-hmm.
all those miles we drove around on the campaign trail, all the discussions we had, if you're not a person of faith, then all you got is this life. There are no consequences in the next life. So
Mm-hmm.
if there are no consequences in that next life, then whatever happens now, I'm
Right.
done.
Right.
So So I've got to let go of the consequences in this life to say, God's going to sort it out.
Right. Right.
But
Well,
when all I want to do is just beat the crap
But
out of
that's
somebody.
the
Well-
human being part of you.
well, I'm going to say this
Sorry, Steve.
What?
because
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
you basically said that if you believe in life at conception, you have to believe in it at the end of life. I look at it this way. A baby is innocent. Regardless of how conceived,
Doesn't matter who his parents are.
doesn't matter who the
It's not
parents
his
are.
fault.
Right.
His or her fault.
I agree.
End of story. However, I do believe that if someone has been adjudicated to be guilty of such a heinous crime, then yes. But I'll do this. And this is one of the other co-founder of Granite Rock said this in a on Arnie Arneson's TV show long time ago,
This is great. I love this.
where we were debating two folks from Blue Hampshire.
Boo hamster?
Blue Hampshire.
Boo hamster.
And you know,
yes.
there was a young lady and a young man, and two things. One was he came walking in and saw Doug and I and said, "Oh, I thought you guys would have been much younger doing this stuff." And I went, "Well, thanks for the ageism crack there, dude." And the Ice Queen, and I can't remember her name. She went on to write for Huffington Post and is an editor there when she left Blue Hampshire. Just stared at me like, "How dare you?" Well, look, I didn't comment on the age, but we were talking about that, and Doug said this: "I am willing to give up the death penalty if you are willing to give up the abortion penalty." They had nothing to say. They couldn't say anything.
I'm sure.
And it kind of goes along with what you said, because they were all absolutely pro-life at the end of a guilty crime,
Right.
but they weren't willing to say innocent at the beginning of life.
No.
Yeah.
And it totally flummoxed them.
That's right. That's a wonderful way to think about it. Well, it's like we said.
Yeah.
it's-
I'll
they-
trade you the death penalty to get rid of abortion.
They've controlled this whole topic for a generation plus. And when you bring that up, you bring the hypocrisy of it. And they cannot accept that, because then that invalidates all of those times that they stood supposedly on principle that the woman's right to choose. Well, I'm sorry, the baby is an entity, whether you like that or not.
The choice comes before pregnancy.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay? The choice comes before pregnancy.
No.
And growing up when I did, you understood that. You chose either to engage or not. Alvin, come on in. And I'm going to give up my headset to him.
Well, we're about to take a break in a couple minutes
Okay,
here.
he's just standing out there. But you made that choice to either risk pregnancy and all of the social consequences at the time.
That's right.
That came with it.
Yeah.
Or you risked being labeled whatever by taking birth control pills. And in fact, when I was in college, if you were a member of a sorority on campus and you were caught taking birth control pills, you would be thrown out of the
Holy
sorority.
moly.
Now,
Times they have changed.
but again, you think about consequences. Here comes Miss Amanda, and it's all turned around. All right? And when you meet lovely young women like this that have grown up without the things that I was taught, and without the social context, I'm thinking they all know this stuff, and that's the wrong place for me to be. So, yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy, if you will, between what I knew and what young women know.
Now look how much further thinking, though, you've come since then, because you've really taken on the thought in your head. You know, I think you're absolutely right that you can't promote, if you're going to be pro-life, you cannot at the end then decide that
No.
there's something else you're going to, I believe that you cannot do that.
Well, then maybe I can just beat him almost that close
Okay.
to death. I would feel better.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
That's our Susan. What can I say? That's our Susan.
Seems like a fair trade.
Yeah.
It could be, depending on who you want to defend, the innocent or the guilty.
I want to defend the innocent.
Well, yeah, that's the way it should be. But folks, we're coming to the end of the first hour.
Another
here.
minute.
Really?
Another minute. We got
Another minute.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's almost 10 o'clock.
I have no idea how the audio is going to come out, but we're going to try. See what happens.
I'm going to have to buy us a couple more cords.
Well, yeah, and we need another setup for this audio deal, so we can.
But you got new headsets, courtesy
Well, we got
of a,
one.
We get one.
One
courtesy
set.
of a,
We're going to
of
get a
of
new
a
headset.
listener.
Yes.
We are.
Good.
So, yeah, interesting discussions. Are you going to stick around? Or you have to go back.
It's up to you guys.
Well, I'm gonna let Amanda use my headsets. I'm gonna go find Alvin.
Okay.
And make sure folks know that we're in here. And
Scrounge
and-
up some guests.
Well, I can. I've got a couple of bucks in my pocket. I can pay somebody to come in.
Yeah, you can troll for
We
guests.
We've got peppermints.
I'm not
here.
sure I want to go there. Bucks to go trolling
don't-
for guests.
Trolling for guests. If you
Trolling for
you can always
guests.
throw a couple bucks in the jar too. Don't forget.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
that's for CNHT. 'cause
Well,
we
I'm
owe
going
some
to.
money.
I'm going to take care of that.
I know, but we still want to help. We want to help. They need money. They always need money. It does a lot of work. We should help them out.
Yes.
I mean, we advertise and stuff, but we should music. Do whatever we can whenever we can to
Absolutely.
keep things moving along. We have no idea how it's going to sound. Anyway, this is the end of segment 2 of who knows how many segments for GrokTALK, live from Liberty Forum in Manchester, New Hampshire, in the lovely Radisson Hotel. And we're going to be right back after some ads, and then we'll do this again. So stay tuned.
All right.
Senator Jean Shaheen said, if you like your current health plan, you can keep it. That's not true, Senator. 22,000 New Hampshire citizens have been kicked off their insurance plans. Hospitals in Rochester, Concord, and Portsmouth, they aren't allowed to provide care under the exchange. Senator, you were wrong in your comments. You should apologize for your misleading remarks. I'm calling Senator Shaheen at 750-3004 and telling her I want my doctor back. You should too.
Paid for by SaberPac.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
We are struggling. Rising healthcare costs are part of the problem. Senator Jean Shaheen helped create this mess we're in. As a state senator, her bill chased 21 insurers out of our state. It reduced our choices, raised prices for New Hampshire families, and when Jean Shaheen supported Obamacare, it limited access to 10 of our 26 hospitals, reducing our choices again. Tell Jean Shaheen she's made healthcare worse. Few things are as important as finding the right doctor. And under Obamacare, that's harder than ever. Over a third of our hospitals no longer available. Our doctors no longer covered. Fewer choices, longer drives. No state has been harder hit than us. And even after watching it impact New Hampshire, Congresswoman Ann Custer still supports it. Call Ann Custer. Tell her Obamacare isn't working for New Hampshire.
This is a coalition of New Hampshire taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is a repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now, at the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.
GrokTV.